वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं. So in our this series last almost 7 to 8 lectures on Karma Yoga, which is the subject matter of the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And Karma Yoga, as we discussed, is why it is important, whether you believe in religion or not, whether you have any spiritual goal or not. You perform action, you do work, and action is something which is, you always have a result of it, you always have some fruit of it. Action has a reaction. Reaction means the effect of your action. As every action has its reaction or its result, similarly, or at the same time, every action is also the result of something, fruit of something. This cause and effect is a very important concept in understanding the application of philosophy. Nothing happens without a reason. Even a sound happens also because of some action. And in our frame of reference, there is nothing which is the result of nothing. There has to be a reason for something to happen. There has to be a cause for every effect. There is no effect without a cause. A sound comes because someone touches the microphone. Without that, microphone doesn't make sound. Though we have a concept, when you touch or you collide, this collision is called ahata. A sound without collision is called anahata. That's why that Om is called anahata shabda. All the shabda, all the sounds are creation of striking of two objects. Make any sound without any object. There has to be a two. Any form of two objects which make sound. You keep a flute, it will not play until someone puts air into it. So similarly, that which is effect of must have a cause. So the cause and effect. The cause is effect of something. Again, the effect is cause of something. I made sound. My touch is the cause, sound is the effect. That sound comes to you. You feel good or bad about it. That is the effect of the sound. Now if you feel bad, if you feel too bad, you will leave. So hearing the sound was the cause, your living will be the effect. Everything has cause and effect, and our life is a continuous series of this cause and effect. And we become instrumental either as a cause or as an effect. This cause and effect relationship is possible only by our agentship, by our being part of it, our being cause of it. So there we come into existence. That we come into existence. That's why the action always affects us, because we are the performer of the action as a cause, or we are enjoyer of the action as a result. So this cause and result, we become part of it, we become instrument. We become cause of it or we become effect of it. From this standpoint only, everything is understood. So when we do karma, is there any way that we perform the action but we are not affected by that, or we are less affected by that? Theoretically impossible. Practically it is possible. The quality because of which you can be free from the effect of your karma is called detachment. And the detachment word is used many times in many ways in Bhagavad Gita. The word used is called Sangha. Sangha is company in general. Sangha also is the relation with karma, relation with something, attachment. Relation is attachment. So this attachment, the less it is, the less affected you are. Detachment is complete non-attachment. So even if you are performer of the action, you do not get affected by it. How? Is there any example that we do action but we are not attached to it? Here attachment is what? Attachment is your feeling that I am doing this action. I am the performer of the action. I am the agent to do this action. And as soon as you are the performer, action is done by you. And there is effect of that action on you. But there are some action which we do, but we don't have a sense of doership. We don't have a sense of that I am doing it, but you do it. For example, you took dinner night. It was good, so you took little more food, so your stomach is heavy. And you slept. Morning when you got up, your food is digested. Who digested it? You digested it. But do you have this feeling? Do you have this sense? Whole night I was busy in digesting my food. No. You digest the food, but there is no agentship. So you can sleep. How this can happen? You are doing it, but you are unaware of doing it. You are sleeping. If a mosquito or a fly comes and sits on your hand, you are not aware your hand goes like this. Who felt? You felt. Who reacted? You reacted, but you don't have a sense. Many times, though in a medical science it may be taught in a different way, that there is some involuntary actions performed by you, but you are not aware. You do not want to even do it, but still your hands and feet do it. And there is no agentship involved. You don't have a feeling, you don't have a sense that I am doing it. I remember a person who underwent some operation. So the people who were with him post-operation, when he was taken out of operation theatre in the ward, he says the person was throwing his hands and feet. So much discomfort would have been there, but the person is unaware about it, that he was so much in pain or in discomfort. So who was throwing the hands and feet? The person. But he doesn't have a sense, he doesn't have memory. It's very interesting. Everything is possible, every action is possible by us within range. Below and above the range, either that action is not possible, or you don't have the sense of performing action. For example, I can look at this light because it is within the range of my eyesight. If it is more than that, I cannot look at it. If it is much lower, you cannot even see that light, but light is there. So we need a frequency, or we need certain range in which only this perception is possible. In the same way, all your senses have limitations, all your senses have range. With scientific improvement, you increase the range. If you cannot see something very far, you put telescope and you can see very far. You can see very close, but you can't see it. It is too small. You put microscope and you are able to see it. So microscope and telescope, what they did, it increased the range of your eyes, which otherwise you are not able to do it. Many times, as I told, the range, for example, temperature of your body. If it is little more than your range, all the logic which applies in your day-to-day life will not work. I remember it happened with me. I was in Bangalore, developed high fever, maybe 103, 104, 105 something. So when temperature came down, I asked the Swami who was there, what time it is? So 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. Sorry, but no dinner. So you just took. You told me you want to eat noodles. I went to kitchen, made noodles and brought in, you have taken. Believe me, it is more than 30 years, I don't have memory of that. I took. Nobody else took for me. I ate myself. But there is no registration, there is no memory. So even what you call your memory depends on your body temperature. Even if you perform, you don't have the memory of it. Our life is very fragile. Though we are very proud of telling, all your pride is within the range. Little less or little more out of your range, all your pride has no meaning. Age is one range, light is one range, memory is one range, temperature is one range. Everything is in a range, everything is in a limit. A person who was one of the most swift person, today for him to walk few steps is so difficult. A person who was one of the strongest men in the world today cannot even hold a pen in his hand. So all our pride is within the range. Less or more out of the range, all your qualities have no meaning. So when we do karma, the doership of the karma, the agentship of doing karma, the sense that I am the doer comes because of attachment. Sri Krishna says, everything I am only doing, people feel out of mistake, out of ignorance, that feel that he is the doer. He is not the doer. In devotion, in bhakti, or in jnana, this concept is given in a little different way. You know, one Bengali song we sing during puja, Sakali Tomar Ichha. In that there is one line, Tomar karma tuvi koma loke bole kori ami. Mother, you are doing the work. People feel they are doing. So, idea is this, that detachment, attachment makes us feel that we are doer. The detachment will help us to think, to understand who is the doer. And I am not the doer. It's not performed by me. Because if I am Atman, the Atma doesn't do work. Work is done by whom? By body, the mind. How body and mind does work? Because of attachment and because of desire. Desire belongs to whom? Atman doesn't have desire. The ignorant soul with the mind and body, or because of mind and body, we continuously have desires. And to fulfill the desires, we do action. Is there any action which we do which is not meant for fulfilling any desire? Everything we do has a desire. So if you want to be free from action, you have to be free from desire. If you want to be free from desire, you have to be free from ignorance. Ignorance about the self, ignorance about the Atman. That's why, whether it is Bhakti Yoga or Jnana Yoga, to realize the truth about your own identity is the only solution. In our Upanishad it says, there is no other way. There is no other way to realize. Nanya pantha vidyate. There is no way then to realize this truth. If you realize the truth, then only there will be end of all our suffering. A devotional way is there where you get attached to God, you surrender to God, you are devoted, everything is by wish of God, and you suffer. You suffer the consequences, offering it to God. So in that way, little suffering reduces. But the freedom from the action, or rather freedom from the result of your action, comes only with detachment. Now what is detachment? Not to get attached is detachment. What is attachment? If I am attached to something, then I want that thing. Not only that I want it, but if I have it, I want to retain it with me. And if it is taken away from me, I feel pain. So there are two things we must remember about attachment. I desire for something which I don't have. I'm attached to that. When I get that thing, I want to retain it with me. I don't want to be part. I don't want to be away with it. And why this detachment happens? Why I am fond of this or this or this or this? Because I am ignorant about myself. And I think if I have this thing, if I have this person, if I have this position, if I have this money, if I have this or that, then I am complete, then I am full, then I am happy. But what happens? If you get that thing, if you get that person, if you get that position, if you get that money, another desire comes. Because the attachment is because of that dearth, that absence, that vacuum. You feel if I get it, then I will be happy. And we are happy. You give sweet to anybody, whether from children to the adult, whomsoever, everybody is happy. Why? Because we are attached to it. If I get this sweet, I will be happy. You show a chocolate or something to the child, immediately the child feels, give me. If I get it, I will be happy. We are also the same. The object makes us happy. And our experience says, object after object after object, we take, accept, and think that we are happy. And slowly, unknowingly, without any scriptural evidence, without anybody's telling, we come to conclusion that happiness is there in that object because that made me happy. So I get attached to it. I want more. But if that object had happiness, it should make everybody happy. But that doesn't happen. That object is not craved by everybody. Only some people want it, not everybody. That means the happiness is not in the object. The reason behind my happiness, by getting in contact with this object, has to do with me, not with the object. Because I have a dearth, because I feel, that's why the object gives happiness to me. As we had given example, we love sweets. Somebody love mango, somebody love pani puri, somebody love idli, whatever, any object. You like that object. You are fond of eating it. And I came to know about it. I say, come. I will feed you nice idli. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After that, what? The sixth idli is not able to produce that much happiness as the first idli was able to give you happiness. What about 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10? The 10th idli creates anger, not happiness. If the happiness would have been in the object, it should create happiness all the time, but it doesn't. That means happiness is my concept, not the nature of the object. In my certain condition, this object gives me happiness. As soon as my state of mind changes, that objects is unable to make me happy. Long before, in 2001 or 2, when I came, I just gave an example and everybody started laughing. It's the same object. Which was giving you happiness doesn't give happiness anymore, but the opposite gives you happiness. And I told people, marry to get happy, People take divorce also to be happy. How it is possible? I eat to be happy, I vomit to be happy, I receive to be happy, I renounce to be happy. So how happiness is created by diametrically opposite action regarding the same object? This only proves that happiness has nothing to do with the object. Happiness has to do with the person who comes in contact with the object. So far it gives happiness is okay. As soon as it stops giving happiness, you become detached with it. And then the same object starts giving pain to you. How it is so? So you wanted to be away from that object. And this is how the whole world goes. Whole world thinks journey starts with the happiness is in the object. If I get that, I will be happy. And later comes the knowledge. No. Happiness was not in the object. Sometimes difficult to, very, very strong, direct statements are there by the great people. It's not easy to digest. It comes in the form of stories. People laugh and leave it there. But truth remains the same. Two people are there who cannot live away from each other. One person dies. Immediately the second person doesn't want to come closer to it. Forget about loving. Shankaracharya wrote that stotra. Mohamudgar. The name of the stotra is called Mohamudgar stotra. A stotra which breaks your moha, breaks your delusion, breaks your attachment. That's why the stotra is called Mohamudgar. यावत् जीवो निवसति गेहे कुशलम तावत् पृच्छति गेहे. So far as a person is alive, prana is there, then people love them, people are attached to them. Gatavati vayo. As soon as the prana goes out, a person becomes a dead body. Bharyam bibhyati tasmin kaya. Even the wife is afraid of going closer to it. It's not question of wife. Even husband goes afraid of going to the wife. As soon as the person dies. Who was giving happiness to whom? That cause was within the person. That's why the other person was able to give happiness. And believe me, the moment the person or a thing or an object or a place stops giving happiness, detachment immediately takes place. Sometimes detachment is not matured, so it becomes hatred. And hatred is another course of actions. So idea is this, as we discussed last time. Our problem is either we are attached or we hate. The center position is called detachment. Detachment is not negative. Detachment is not opposite to attachment. Attachment is this side, hatred is this side. Detachment is the correct balance position. One who is detached is happy. One who is attached, one who has hatred are not happy. So, detachment is one of the qualities which requires in Karma Yoga. If you are not detached, then the result is different. So, two aspects we wanted to think. One is detachment and one is control over the senses. That we have talked earlier in earlier two lectures. Control over our external senses and the inner organ which is called mind. So control over the mind and control over the senses. Controls are of two types, Shama and Dama. One is control over the mind, another is control over the external senses. Karmendriya, the organs or senses to perform action. If that is not under your control, you will behave like a car, only accelerator, no brake, and of course no steering wheel. So accident is must. There is no way that you can save yourself. That's why on the path of spirituality, all the three things are required: steering, accelerator and brake. Accelerator is that zeal with which you perform action. Steering wheel is a discrimination to decide and think how I should do karma, for what I should do karma. And then the brake, the control over the senses. You cannot have control over the senses if you don't have control over the mind. Because senses eventually are the instruments only. Control of the mind is more important. So without that, without control over the mind, there cannot be control over the senses. So control over the senses comes later. First comes control over the mind. Shama. Control over the mind comes how? Because senses will perform the action. What is the cause of action? Desire. Desire comes where? In hand? No. Desire comes in mind. That's why it is necessary to control desire to control the action. Without controlling desire, you cannot control the action. So before you control the senses, organs of action, you control the mind. So this control of the senses, control of the mind is one aspect, and detachment is the other aspect. These two aspects joined together makes your karma into karma yoga. Karma, when it is useful to you to reach goal, yoga is to join. Yoga is to reach to the goal. Karma cannot take you anywhere. Karma yoga takes you somewhere. Everybody does karma. Everybody doesn't do karma yoga. Apparent bhakti everybody does, going to temple. Bhakti yoga not everybody does. That's why other day I was telling. Nowhere in the Bhagavad Gita, not a single word is there about a temple. Nowhere it is told one who goes every day to the temple will achieve liberation, achieve moksha, achieve bhakti. No. One thing, maybe during Krishna's time there were hardly any temple. Even if it was there, Krishna was intelligent to say no. Everything is here. It is not the place, a temple. Of course, temple is a place where everybody apparently comes with a higher perspective, higher purpose, but it can be changed. It can be changed. Same action, intention behind the action could be different. For example, I sing devotional songs in the temple. It's a spiritual activity, correct? Singing devotional song. But if attitude in my mind is, I want to show that I am a good singer, all devotion went away. Just because of my attitude. Temple remains what it is. Song remains what it is. Singing remains what it is. Only my attitude changed. Immediately Bhakti Yoga become Bhakti. Bhakti is an action. So Bhakti also we have two types. One is called Vaidhi Bhakti. One is called Para Bhakti. Yes, going to temple is Bhakti. Because it is Vaidhi Bhakti. People with garlands, making the flower vase, doing the puja, collecting flowers, cutting the fruits, decorating the temple, cleaning the temple, maintaining the temple. It's all part of Vaidhi Bhakti. If the attitude is correct behind doing this Vaidhi Bhakti, then it becomes Bhakti Yoga. Then only it becomes an instrument to take you towards God. Otherwise not. That's why nowhere it is told. Nowhere in the scriptures these things are told. But the attitude is talked about. What attitude you should have. And that is Bhakti. Same thing with Jnana. There is nothing which can make you Jnana Yogi. That's how the difference between information and knowledge. If you read the whole Bhagavad Gita without any spiritual attitude, you can be a scholar of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita will not help you to get the desired goals. Why? Because you didn't want it. So when we read Bhagavad Gita, we do not want to be scholar of Bhagavad Gita. Yes, it is good to know. Every shloka, we say vyutpatti. Every word we can break and talk about what is the dhatu, what is the vibhakti, what is the rupa. Everything can be taught. But it is the grammatical side of Bhagavad Gita. Then I take one word of Bhagavad Gita and speak for 1 hour. Can be done. It's good. Nothing wrong about it. But what is my goal? Other day I was talking somewhere that Bhagavad Gita is a lift. What is the lift in a building? The lift has a capacity to take you to the highest floor. You choose where you want to go. Correct? In the same way. People use Bhagavad Gita for management, Bhagavad Gita for this, Bhagavad Gita. You can use it. Nothing wrong about it. But what Bhagavad Gita is meant for, which is the highest floor? Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre. Every chapter is a yoga. And the goal is nothing but Brahma Vidya. To understand and realize your identity. Who you are, what is the truth? What is the truth about the objective world? What is the truth about my subjective world? What is the meaning of my individuality? Sri Ramakrishna says in one place, you don't need to know too much. Just know who you are, just know who am I, and just know what is our relationship. Not Ramakrishna as a person, but as a God. Understand who you are, understand what God is and what's your relationship, and then nurture it, practice it. That's why you will find in every religion, though in Hinduism it is very, very evident because there are so many. Think of the saints. Most of the saints were not highly educated scholars and pandits. They were all simple people, illiterate people. Then how they can know all that is written in Bhagavad Gita without reading Bhagavad Gita? That's how it goes. Think of the individual. Think about Latu Maharaj, for example, Adbhutanandji. Think about many small saints of different parts of extended India. They were not highly qualified. Some were, some used to be. That also shows that to become a bhakti yogi, you don't need to be illiterate always. No. Any type of person, a scholar, illiterate, a man, woman, anybody, endowed with that insight, endowed with that quality, can reach the goal. So here, in Karma Yoga, when we discuss, remember these two attitudes. One is detachment, and one is control over our senses, control over our mind, and control over our senses, senses of knowledge. Senses of knowledge are those 5 senses through which we gather the information. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, touch. We understand this world. We see, we hear, we smell, we taste, we touch. So these are the 5 senses which gather the information. And then it is processed here inside your mind. And you have something on your backside, in the back of your mind, something like a hard disk, where all your past impressions are stored. If the past impressions are telling you that this object is harmful, immediately you are away. Oh, this object gives happiness, immediately go closer to it. So the 5 senses of knowledge gather the information. It is processed with the help of chitta, the hard disk. And then the order goes to the 5 senses of action, the hands, the feet, etc. This is how the whole world goes. You collect information, process it, decide what you want to do, and do with the 5 senses. This is how we work. This is how is the genesis, how it is working. So, when we gather information, we must have a sensor. Today's problem is what? So much information is available, especially to the children, which they don't need to have. Too much information. The indigestion of the information is the present problem. So you must have a control over the information. Yesterday, in our Saturday small group, I was talking. Even I am thinking, how can I get rid of the phone? Means usage of the phone. You can't live without it, could be. But usage can be under my control. Maybe morning 8 to evening 8, you use it. At least evening 8 to morning 8, you will be free from that. Somewhere, some restriction, some censor. So have a censor over collecting the information. Then process. If we are aware about the process, if we know how the process takes place, and then have control over the senses of action. Just because I want doesn't mean I will go and take it. No, I must have a control. No, that doesn't belong to you, don't do it. So the censor over the senses of knowledge, observation of the process, and then control over the external senses by which we perform action or react to our thought. If any of these three you are weak in that, you are not able to have, your life will be in a mess so far as spiritual life is concerned. Sometimes the external life you will find nothing to do with spiritual. Oh, he is a big man. Why? Collecting information, but he centered this portion, collecting maximum information, processing properly, and utilizing it, not for the sake of spirituality, but for the other sake. So you find progress in worldly life. But remember, for that also, he or she must have little control over these three. Without that, no one can become bigger. So, yastu indriyani manasa niyamya, one who controls the senses with the mind has to also be controlled first. So with a controlled mind, it's how you are sitting on a horse. You are supposed to control the horse. How you control? You control with the rein. You control with those strings. So strings are put in the nose of the horse. But sorry, we will not give the other end of the string in your hand. No use. So the control of the horse is possible provided the reins also are under your control. Yastu indriyani manasa niyamya, one who controls the senses with the mind. Which mind? Mind also is under your control. With uncontrolled mind, you cannot control the senses. Karmendriyehi, one who controls the senses with the mind, asaktasya vishishyate, that detached person, unattached person excels. To be unattached, you must have control over the senses. If you want to have a control over the senses, you have control of the mind by which you are going to take control of those senses. So, as a spiritual seeker, our first duty will be to observe our mind. When we sit for meditation and do japa, we try to control our mind. Not only during that time that our mind is not disturbed here and there and you are focused, but also thinking about the day-to-day life, where I can control over my mind. There is another aspect of control of the senses, which I had written when I remembered it. There is a concept in Jivan Mukti Viveka. We will take it next time. Thank you. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.